This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Facebook and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk Media Network. Happy new week to you. Happy summer, right? Today's the first official day of summer. Feels like it here in South Carolina. Hope you enjoyed it. Longest day of the year, which means, I haven't told Pat and Chris this, you get 2 extra hours of sports talk tonight. We're on till darkness. No, it's not going to work that way. Not going to work that way.
I like it.
Yeah. Hey, if we were in Alaska, I mean, we could be 24 hours a day, right? Because it stays light there pretty much all day long this time of the year, doesn't it? Doesn't it get don't they have very extended daylight hours in Alaska?
They do. There's a spot in Alaska where early June, I think the sun comes up and it doesn't go back down until, October.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't see it again until the next year. So I don't know how you ever get used to that.
I think there's
I've been to Alaska. It's a gorgeous state.
Isn't there
I'm not sure I could ever get used to that.
A basketball or baseball league out there where they just play games all the time? Pat?
There's a baseball league that plays midnight games.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I have an old friend from college. He and his wife took a job out in Alaska. He's there now in Anchorage, and he joined a softball summer league where they play one night a week at midnight. And then he and his buddies love playing golf at midnight because I guess it's lower rates and it's just, why not?
Mm-hmm. Sounds fun to me. Hope you had a great weekend. Took care of those dads out there and everybody enjoyed the company of their father. And we are now looking forward to another busy week here on Sports Talk. It's the last week of the live period for recruiting. So we've got a big, I was going to say, can I get a hallelujah? Got a big weekend coming up for South Carolina. You know, Clemson sort of put things away until their cookout in July. They might have a player or two stop by during the week, but no camps, and their staff has been on vacation here most recently. But South Carolina's still getting at it. The Gamecocks got 2 commitments over the last couple of days. One we knew was coming down on Sunday, and then one they picked up today, Peyton Williams, safety out of Texas. They picked up the commitment from the defensive tackle Weiss on Sunday. So good pickups for the Gamecock defense. 7 commitments in the class now for South Carolina. And I get the feeling that Shane Beamer and his crowd are very happy with the players they're getting into the program. Of course, we're going to have a long, meaty, juicy recruiting report for you tonight here on Sports Talk. Alan Smother is going to join us from out in Omaha, as he threatened to do last week with NC State, his Wolfpack, going out there. So the bad boy of Sports Talk Radio in the PD, next to my man Chris Bergen, of course.
I can't hold a candle to Alan. I promise you. I cannot hold a candle to Alan.
You're the original bad boy. He's the Johnny-come-lately bad boy. Anyway, he's out there with NC State, and today Stanford has eliminated Arizona 14-5.
Did you see that coming? I thought Arizona would have a better showing than they did. Didn't look all that good in their opener against Vanderbilt. Of course, they took Vanderbilt until the end of the ball game. They had to go, 12 innings, but then just to get hammered by Stanford today surprised me a great deal. But, the SEC has not looked all that good. Vanderbilt had to go extra innings. Tennessee in the losers bracket tomorrow. Mississippi State probably has looked as good as anybody thus far. And how about the ACC, Phil? NC State, a solid win to open up their bracket in the Virginia yesterday.
Oh, Virginia.
Looked as good as anybody.
Virginia. I'm telling you, man, they are a team of destiny. They have played great baseball. We kind of picked up on Virginia going into the ACC tournament when we were handicapping the tournament, and we saw where Virginia was really starting to play some really good baseball, and they played. Did they get to Saturday, the semifinals of the tournament? You were there. You remember? Of the ACC?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think so, because Oh, wow. I'd have to go back and double check. You
Yeah.
know, we're so focused on what Clemson did, and once the Tigers got eliminated, kind of lost interest in it. But with anytime you can run a guy out like Abbott on the mound, you've got a really, really good opportunity. And plus, they have hit the baseball extremely well. And I'm as big a proponent as having solid pitching wins in any level of baseball. But I'm starting to really believe if you can't hit it, you're not going to win. And NC State and Virginia are proof positive that if you can swing the bats, you've got as good a shot to win not just a high school championship, a World Series title, but certainly the College World Series. If you can hit the baseball, you've got a golden opportunity to go really, really far. Virginia proved that in the Columbia Regional, and they have proved it thus far. I thought they were outstanding yesterday.
I believe we just lost Chris. But to answer what you were saying a minute ago, NC State advanced to the championship game where they lost to Duke. UVA did not make it to one of the semifinals. They ended up losing in pool play, but NC State got all the way to the finals where they lost to Duke.
All right, very good. Let's get Chris back with us here. His audio.
Sorry, I hit the wrong. I hit the wrong button.
That was on your. That was on your
that was
end.
on me.
Okay.
I apologize, but I am back with you guys.
We don't make mistakes on our end.
Never.
Only on your end. All right, the phone number, and we got a lot to talk about. In fact, we're going to get into the Supreme Court NCAA deal coming up in a moment. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Did you know that since 2002, more than $829 million in lottery proceeds have been used to fund lottery tuition assistance for students attending technical colleges in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at seeducation.lottery.com/education wins. And playing for fun is, no doubt about it, a win for education. And it's also fun to win. And you're not going to win unless you play. So give it a try. So let me update a couple of things. We mentioned that Arizona loses to Stanford, so they're out of the College World Series. 0-2 and barbecue for the Wildcats. They fall 14-5. NC State and Vanderbilt coming up tonight, the 7 o'clock game out there. And the winner, this is where you win your opener, and then you win your second game after a day off, and you are set. You are in really good shape because you don't play again until the end of the week. And the other folks have to fight their way through the losers bracket, and it really saves your pitching. And that's why this game tonight and the game, the game tomorrow night in the winners bracket, that'll be Virginia, Mississippi State. I mean, those are huge games. It's not impossible to win through the losers bracket. South Carolina did it every time. South Carolina, I don't think, hardly ever won their first game. They always had to come back through the losers bracket. It can be done, but man, it tests your pitching.
Except their second national championship. Remember, they went on that streak after losing to Georgia Tech in that first game in 2010, and they did not lose again until 2012.
That's right.
So
that's right.
They proved you can do both. But you're right, Phil. If you win the first game and the winner of tonight's game, and you still have to believe, even with Kumar Rocker not looking as good as we anticipated he would look, they still found a way to win at Vanderbilt. If Jack Leiter wins tonight against NC State, and then also if Mississippi State or Virginia, whomever wins out of the winners bracket tomorrow night, those two teams are set up in prime position. And then you have Tennessee and Texas and NC State or Vanderbilt, whomever loses tonight, in really, really tough shape to try and come back out of lose. It is not easy. There's no question. But as you pointed out, South Carolina proved you can do it. It's just not the path you want to take.
No, you want to avoid that at all costs, if at all possible. The Braves are playing as we speak. They're playing 2 in New York. They're going up against DeGrom right now, and as you might expect, it's not going well for the Braves. No hits through 4 innings for them. They're in the bottom of the 4th. The Braves do not have a hit, but the Mets only have 1, but they have a run. So they are up 1-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning. DeGrom coming in 0.54 ERA on the season. So, and it's only a 7-inning game, remember. They're playing a true doubleheader. It's a 7-inning game, and it's getting late early for the Braves, as they say. And, of course, it was a great U.S. Open. MJ Ward's going to join us at 7:30 to put the wrap on that. What a feel-good win for John Rahm. Excellent effort by Louis Oosthuizen, who comes up short again. That is now 6 runner-up finishes in majors for him. Imagine how people would feel if he had won every one of those, he'd be among the all-time greats. I mean, and you're just
no doubt
a few strokes off in his career of being considered among the all-time greats. Of course, Phil Mickelson's got 11 runner-up majors, I believe.
And Tiger has 7.
Has 7.
Actually, I was surprised with that. They brought that stat up yesterday. But what a great U.S. Open. That was what we were talking about with George Bryan. If George is listening, here's what Phil and I were talking about last week when we said it should be hard to win a national championship. Because had you told me when he made the turn that Bryson DeChambeau would shoot a 44 on the backside, I would have never believed it.
Took an 8 on a hole. Had a terrible stretch. But I tell you what I did like, as tough as the course was, and I'd love to see this for every major, though I know it's not the case. I love an easy closing hole. The 72nd hole, it can add so much excitement if it's a reachable par 5. Just think of the excitement you have in the case where it's a reachable par 5 and it's a 1 or 2 shot situation with the guys coming down the stretch. I love that. It was the easiest. They call it the easiest closing hole in a major. It had yielded like 160-something birdies, I think was the number in the tournament, something like that. Some crazy number. But I like that. I mean, that puts a little bit of suspense into the final guys coming down if they're still in contention, which was the case yesterday.
Did you like the decision that Louis Oosthuizen made when he hit his tee shot on 18 into the rough and elected to lay up and basically put his entire fate on a pitching wedge, as opposed to trying to at least knock it onto the green and maybe make a 35 or 40-foot putt for birdie? For eagle. Paul Azinger felt like, and he brought this up in the broadcast yesterday evening, he said that was the smartest move. I can't necessarily disagree with him. Where Oosthuizen lost that opportunity to win the tournament, it was clearly on 17 when he sprayed his tee shot off to the left and ultimately made bogey and took himself out of any opportunity to win.
Yeah, I don't think coming out of that thick rough on 18 had any chance of making the green. I just think he realized it just can't do it. And instead of putting it in the water and then costing him perhaps a runner-up finish, he put it in the fairway, and then crazier things have happened. I mean, it would have had to be a complete bolt of lightning to hole out from there, but it has happened before. And, he gave it a nice run there, but it was not going to be for him this particular day. It was going to be Look, Rahm ran in those 2 beautiful putts. I mean, gorgeous reads, both kind of broke the same direction, and it was in his wheelhouse. I think he likes those putts that break, right to left, I think, from where he was standing. That's kind of in his wheelhouse. So, hey, man, he's a great player, and he just proved it with that win yesterday. First U.S. Open win for a Spaniard, too. It's pretty special. All right, we'll get to your phone calls after the break here on Sports Talk.
Welcome to Tiny Stories. Today we're with Sonia, who recently won $500 on a scratch-off.
I am such a loser.
I'm so confused.
Ever been to a family reunion?
Not if I can help it.
My dad's family rents a beach house every year. I've always said I can't afford to go.
I am so sorry.
I'm assigned a sleeping bag on the porch with cousins I've never met.
Been there. Even got the T-shirt.
You may be Cousin Tina.
No. You know what? That's it for the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your story at tellyourtinystory.com.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Player practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia. No air balls, no bricks, nothing but net with Founders Federal Credit Union. Our full-service line of financial products gives you all the tools you need for financial success, and you'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax with Founders. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. Stay tuned. More Sports Talk is coming up on the Sports Talk Media Network.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
All right, to your phone calls in just a moment. Promise. Heavy news day nationally, some stuff locally that we're going to get into in just a moment as well. I want to catch you up on everything that has been going on that we have been paying attention to today. I hope that you're enjoying your summer. I hope you've got your vacation behind you, or maybe you have it ahead of you. If you're still trying to make plans about your vacation, let me suggest that you and the family, you head east, young man, to Pawleys Island and Litchfield and the beaches of South Carolina, and to make sure you have the best experience possible, make sure you give Jimmy Smith at James Smith Realty a phone call, 843-237-4246, or you can visit PawleysVacationRentals.com, PawleysVacationRentals.com. That's the place. Jimmy Smith, he's the man. You know, he used to tote the pigskin for Andrews High School, and now he totes the load for you. He takes the load off your back by making sure everything is absolutely perfect, great price, great properties, and you can rent something already there. Maybe you want to buy something and just stay there and never come back. That's what I would do if it were me. I'd just buy something and stay there. However, you don't have to do that. You can rent. You can rent condos. You can rent houses. And he will show you everything they've got in their portfolio. Again, it's 843-237-4246. Your perfect beach getaway is awaiting you at Pawleys and at Litchfield and Garden City and all those areas in there at James Smith Realty, 843-237-4246. All right, let's get to the phone calls. We'll throw in our opinions on the NCAA Supreme Court deal. I'm sure we're going to be talking about that with folks here coming up. Recruiting questions are welcome. A lot of recruiting information coming up for you. USC getting 2 commitments over the weekend. Defensive end Jamal Weiss from Miami. Looks like a good pickup. And Peyton Williams, a safety out of Texas, committing to the Gamecocks. Looks like another good pickup for them. So it's coming together for USC at this particular point. We go to your phone calls tonight here on Sports Talk. And it is Tiger Bryan in Lancaster up with us first here on Sports Talk. Tiger Bryan, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. How y'all doing? You know what? I appreciate what y'all do. Y'all give it all out there. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you one thing too. It's a day late and a dollar short. I appreciate it. Happy Father's Day to all y'all that have kids.
Yes, sir.
But
Thank
you know what? The baseball thing, I love that while you was talking. You know what? The winner of the NC State in Vanderbilt, that's going to be the winner of the national championship this year. I do. I really do. I watched them, but that's just my opinion. You know, it's like everything else. Everybody's got one, but you know, I ain't talked to y'all late. Man, I'm sitting there in the pool, just got out, and I was cold.
Sexy.
Said,
That's a sexy image right there, man. You getting out of the pool. But I see in slow motion, I see a Burt Reynolds-like figure. Not Burt Reynolds. No. Not Burt Reynolds in his 30s, but Burt Reynolds in his 80s. You know, that's kind of what I have in my mind.
Hey, no, come on, Coon. Come on now. Damn. Somebody sent a picture. My oldest son with the Clemson's in Easley, he sent me he knows I love to cook, right? He sent me an apron that says Clemson Dad. Yep. I'm going to send y'all a picture of that.
Please do.
I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm going to give you this is the garden update. I done got 7 red tomatoes off my plants, and I got 18 little baby watermelons. So if y'all ever get to 570 South Potter Road in Lancaster, write that down. Come in there, and I'll have some watermelons probably about 60 more days.
Ooh. What's that address?
570 South Potter Road.
South Potter Road in Lancaster.
Lancaster, yep.
Okay.
You took care of me. I got to take care of you, Phil.
We're coming by. We're coming.
Hey, you come on.
All right.
I'll cook you a steak. You let me give me a heads up, I'll cook you a steak before you get here.
I bet you it's good too, man. I bet you that's good.
Man, hey, I appreciate all y'all do, man. And yeah, it's a bad day for me. My mama died. She died 18 years ago. And, you know, it's been bad, but I had to call in just to give y'all some love. My mama used to listen to me. She'd be over here. She'd you crazy, Brian, calling in people, and they don't cut you off. I said, no, they love me.
Love you.
They got love. They do the right thing. You know,
we ain't got nothing but love for you, Tiger Brian. Nothing but love.
I love y'all. Hey, and God bless you. And hey, y'all keep up the good work, man.
Thank you,
y'all
sir.
In my neighborhood, y'all welcome my house anytime.
You got it. You got it. Make room. Might stay over. Better hide the women and children if we decide to stay over. Former Gamecock guard 7th Woods transferring to Morgan State. Put that on his Instagram this afternoon. So he goes from North Carolina to South Carolina to Morgan State. So good luck there. We continue with your phone calls. 888-898-2525. I'd love a watermelon grown by Tiger Brian. I bet you it's juicy and does not have any seeds in it. I bet you he grows the kind that don't have any seeds in them. Steve in Myrtle Beach. Hello, sir. Welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
All right, gentlemen. Listen, I love to listen to you too, but that's a hard act to follow there.
Well, just don't try to match him. Just do your own thing.
Right. That's right. So, no, I just driving and listening to what you guys just brought up about baseball. Me being a Gamecock fan, you know, I've got into some arguments in the past, but I still, and I think it was 24 straight games that we won in the postseason. I think it's 24. Me right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Chris nailed that. I forgot about the fact that the Gamecocks went on that long run of NCAA games, including the College World Series.
Right.
But before they did that, their history was in Omaha. Lose early and fight their way back through the bracket.
I do think that's the first time that we won the first game. That second year we won the national title. I do think that's the first time and we came back to beat A&M 5-4 that year. The second time. But my point is, and I want to get y'all, and then I'll jump.
Speaking of that, real quick, I saw a piece of video. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see it, Chris? Somebody, I think it was our man over Mike Gillespie over at Channel 25 in Columbia, took a piece of video that he had with Ray Tanner talking about that Texas A&M game, and that the bases were loaded, and Scott Wingo went to the plate, and Tanner called timeout. He told Scott, and Scott Wingo was part of this video, and he commented, but Tanner told him, say, look, you know, bases loaded, a walk is fine, or you can get hit by a pitch. Just be patient up there. And Wingo's like, he's telling me not to hit. He's telling me not to go up there swinging. He wants me to get on base with a walk or hit by pitch. He's like, in his mind, I'm going up there hacking. So he took the first pitch, it was strike down the middle. And, you know, he told Tanner, he said in that timeout, he said, I'm going to swing. And next thing, of course, he hit the ball to the wall and won the game. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you. But he hit the ball to the wall, and the Gamecocks won that game and stayed alive in the World Series. That was a great little piece of video, though. He had comments from Tanner, on the one hand, telling Wingo, just get on base somehow. Get hit or take a walk. You got Wingo saying, I'm going up there hacking. I'm not begging to get on base. I'm going to get on base. And he proved that he could. All right, hang on. We'll get back to you and the other calls in a moment. Don't go away.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-380-4452. 800-380-4452. That's 800-380-4452. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Officials say a tornado swept through communities in heavily populated suburban Chicago last night. The storm damaged some 100 homes, toppled trees, knocked out power, and caused a few injuries as well. There was some relief today as authorities in Naperville and Woodbridge reported that they believe nobody was killed as a result of the storm. Claudette has returned to tropical storm strength as it nears the coast of the Carolinas. The system had maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour this morning, less than 2 days after it was blamed for 13 deaths in Alabama. A highway crash killed 8 children who were riding in a van for a youth home for abused and neglected children. Vice President Kamala Harris highlighted the Biden administration's efforts to expand child care and relieve the financial pressures of parenthood today. $15 billion as part of the latest COVID-19 relief bill. This is SRN News.
So your home is your castle. I work hard all day. My reward is time at my home with my family, living comfortably. I don't want to worry for a moment about bugs and pests. I've had Palmetto Exterminators taking care of my home for 19 years. Now, that's a long time without worrying about pest control or infestation or termites, and that's because Palmetto Exterminators takes care of it all. Might not matter to some people, but you know what it does to me? They're family-owned. They've been doing this the right way for over 60 years. The staff is courteous. They're clean. They're totally professional. And it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection. They'll customize the program to fit your needs and your family's budget. They offer a lifetime warranty with their termite agreement. Now, I speak from experience. Like I said, 19 years with the same company. I can't give a more glowing recommendation than the one I proudly give to Palmetto Exterminators. Online, palmettoexterminators.net, or call my guy, Ron Byers, 254-5833. That's 254-5833, Palmetto Exterminators.
We've all come a long way together over the last year. Now we need everybody across Columbia to get vaccinated and put COVID behind us once and for all. COVID vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Everyone in the Benjamin family has gotten their vaccinations, even our youngest. Just like our family has done and like so many others across the Midlands, it's important to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. We're almost there. It's your shot, Columbia.
Hey, I'm State Representative Chris Wooten.
And I'm State Representative Micah Cassidy.
Join us on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. on The Rep.
We'll talk about everything that's happening in the State House and give you an insider's perspective.
All from the General Assembly. So join us at 9 a.m. on The Point, 100.7 FM or 1470 a.m.
Hi, this is Marcia Klayman.
And I'm Karen Pickard. We're your hosts for The Positive Point on Aging.
We'll talk about aging gracefully and senior care every Tuesday morning from 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m.
Join us right here on The Point for The Positive Point on Aging.
Brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044 and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
Monday edition of Sports Talk, helping you shake off the Monday blues here on Sports Talk. We're good for what ails you. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel all together after a hot day in the Palmetto State. We continue to bring the heat here on Sports Talk because that's what we do. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. So as we hit the break, we were talking to Steve. Is he still with us? No. Steve, you left us. Man, I wanted to give you some more time. Call back, Steve. We'll get you back on the air. Sorry about that, but we had to hit the break. So we'll get back to calls in just a moment. Do want to mention a couple of things, and I'm going to talk about that Supreme Court thing in a moment, but just to clean up a few notes. Looks like Portland Trailblazers are not going after Dawn Staley. They talked to her, she said today. She was on an interview, a conference call with media, and was on the Today Show as they revealed the roster for the Olympic team, and she said that she did talk to Portland, but according to reports, Portland is moving in another direction. It's not going to be Dawn Staley, so the Gamecocks appear to be safe there.
Is it going to be Becky Hammond, or are they going totally different?
No, Becky Hammond was one of the finalists being reported, and former player.
Chauncey Billups seemed to be the guy
that
I think everybody in Portland thought would get the job.
Yeah.
I didn't know where the search was over the weekend.
Yeah. USC baseball players named to the Perfect Game All-American team. Wes Clark, third team. Will Sanders, first team. And Jack Mahoney, second team. Freshman All-Americans for those two. Sanders and Mahoney, freshman All-Americans. And Wes Clark named to the third team. I think Caden Grice was named to that team as well, was he not? Caden Grice, Clemson freshman. I believe he was named to that team too. Just didn't see a release from Clemson. Speaking of, Monty Lee talked with the media today. Of course, we had him on the show soon after the season ended. And he, in reviewing the season, he took the responsibility. Also pointed out, of course, they had a lot of injuries. You had the COVID situation going on. But he also noted that they have got to do a better job, they being he and his staff, of teaching situational hitting, of figuring out, teaching how to win one-run games, something they were not good at this year. But he feels very good about the team that's coming back. Thinks they're going to have a large number of good arms. And depending on what happens with the draft and all, of course, that remains to be seen. After the press conference, he left. In fact, this was the in-person press conference, by the way, the first time we've had media in person with a coach since COVID. And he also had a stream going on. But he left and went to Irmo to visit with Will Taylor, a Clemson baseball football signee, projected first-round pick in the draft next month, trying to, what can you say? Hey, come to Clemson and play college and da-da-da-da, or, go sign for $3 million. What do you want to do? What can you do? What can you do as a coach when you're in that situation where you can put a very nice education and everything that comes with playing baseball, college baseball, up against, playing in the bush leagues of minor league baseball for X number of years, but still you're going to get that. If you're a first rounder, you're going to get that signing bonus. It's going to take care of things for a long, long time. So that is what you're up against. Real quick, the Supreme Court today ruled unanimously against the NCAA, and so basically saying the NCAA does not have any antitrust protection and cannot keep athletes from making money off of things related to their sport, as they put it, related to education and their sport. So like they didn't say anything about getting paid. This is not a situation where the Supreme Court ruled on athletes have to be looked at as employees and they have to be given a salary and all that. That's still to come. I'm sure that's coming down the road at some point in time. But they're saying, if an athlete wants to do name, image, likeness thing. You can't stop them. If they want to go sell their sneakers for $1,000, you can't stop them. You know, just like if a musician at the school wants to sell their banjo for $1,000, they can go do that. If they want to make money off of YouTube or Instagram, whatever the case may be, the NCAA cannot prevent the athlete from doing that. That's basically what the Supreme Court has ruled here. The comment that got all the attention nationally was the comment that was written by Judge Kavanaugh, who at the his argument said that the traditions alone of college sports cannot justify the NCAA's decision to build a massive money-raising enterprise on the backs of student athletes who are not fairly compensated. Nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers at fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying their workers a fair market rate. And under ordinary principles of antitrust law, it is not evident why college sports should be any different. The NCAA is not above the law. Okay, that's all well and good. I get that, I guess. The only thing I'm going to say is that's fine. That's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. I don't understand, though, how you can write that, how a Supreme Court judge or justice can write that, that, let's see here. Nowhere else in America can businesses get away with agreeing not to pay their workers a fair market rate on the theory that their product is defined by not paying their workers a fair market rate. Well, you know, we've never considered students to be workers at a college to begin with. But all that being said, I still don't understand how you can ignore the fact that student athletes receive compensation in the form of their scholarships and everything that comes with that in a return for their talents at a fair market rate. I mean, the rate is set. The fair market rate is what the tuition is to go to that particular school that is set by the market, I guess, in the public school setting. Of course, private schools can set their tuitions at whatever they want. I guess maybe public schools have a little bit more of a competition going on. But, you know, at South Carolina, we'll just use South Carolina as an example because that's the one I just happened to look up. So the average tuition, so South Carolina, for an out-of-state tuition to come to South Carolina, it's I think it's about $33,000 a year. And in-state tuition was about $15,000, $16,000. What I did was I took the two levels of tuition, add them together, divided by 2, and came up with the average tuition. And so for 4 years, the average tuition for in and out of state at South Carolina for 4 years is $97,000. So let's say $100,000 to go to South Carolina just for your tuition. That does not include room and board that's covered in a scholarship. Throw that in. You're talking about several $1,000s more. Don't know exactly how many. But my point is that the school spends $2 million on football scholarships tuition per year. When you take that figure, the annual figure, multiply it times 85, it comes out to about $2 million just on tuitions alone for South Carolina. So my argument is, to a little bit of a counter that these athletes haven't gotten anything, is that they have gotten things. They have gotten paid in this form. It's sort of like money versus Bitcoin. Okay, some people now are getting paid in Bitcoin. Consider scholarships to be like, you know, Bitcoin. That's how you pay your college athletes. They are compensated for their talents, which the schools use to their own benefit in their programs, but they're compensated by having their college education and lodging and travel and medical and everything else covered. That's not getting nothing. So that's just my complaint. They have gotten something over the years. And to say, that's why I'm a little bit surprised that a Supreme Court justice would write a commentary that would indicate that, in his opinion, the athletes have gotten nothing over all these years. No, they're not getting paid an hourly wage. They're not getting paid, $50 an hour, $75 an hour, whatever the market would bear for a college athlete. But they have gotten very fine compensation, and it's gotten better over the years with the stipend money they've been getting, along with the Pell Grant money that many of them can qualify for. They get a pretty nice check to put away that they don't have to spend because everything else is taken care of. Their room and board's taken care of. Their food's taken care of. Their tuition's taken care of. Their books are taken care of. Tutoring is taken care of. So if we're going to pay them, then wipe that slate clean. Then do away with scholarships and room and board and just open up the market and let the schools, bid on players like they do in professional ranks and say, okay, you come play for us. Well, we'll pay you $1,000 a game.
Picked the perfect Supreme Court justice. Now, he did not write the dissenting, or excuse me, the overwhelming
There was no
opinion.
dissent.
There was no, exactly.
Yeah.
This is one of the rare times the Supreme Court actually voted unanimously. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Roe versus Wade, as controversial as that was, the abortion issue, the court was 7-2 in favor. This is a 9-0 vote, and they picked the perfect person to write one of the opinions. And Justice Brett Kavanaugh, because he's a big basketball fan. He actually tried out, didn't make the team at Yale, but this is a guy who loves basketball, and he sees all that money coming in through the NCAA from the NCAA basketball tournament, and he says something like, and under ordinary principles of antitrust law, it is not evident why college sports should be any different. The NCAA is not above the law. That last sentence signifies to me the end of amateur athletics and college sports, because now you've basically opened up the Pandora's box. You've opened up the floodgates for every athlete, whether they have played currently, whether they're playing 10 years down the road, or they have played in the past, to come back and say, all right, look, we worked, whether or not you wanted to grant us that term, we were employees of the school. We brought in money. We deserve our fair share. The problem is no one has ever been able to put a fair share value, market value, as you pointed out, Phil, on an academic scholarship, because that doesn't fit the narrative. The narrative now is we need to pay college athletes, and the Supreme Court's decision today, I think, lays the pavement or lays the groundwork for that to happen on down the road. And my question is, all right, with this now, what does the NCAA and what does everybody do with regards to NLI? Are we going to be in a position where that's even passe now? Because I want the college to pay me for playing. And then you bring up all the different things that opens up. Dabo Sweeney's comments about if we're starting to pay athletes, I'll find something else to do. Well, Dabo may have to answer for that, because we may not be that far down the road before that actually happens.
Well, the NCAA is just waiting for Congress to pass something. They're putting it on the backs of the legislators now to come up with a law to take it off their backs. But the legislators, the U.S. Congress, is not going to do anything before July 1st, obviously. Right. Not going to get anything done. And so these various state laws are going to start going into effect around the country one by one. And some states are going to have them. Some states are not going to have the NIL laws. And it's going to be a recruiting advantage for those schools in those states that do have it. The other states, I'm sure, will act as quickly as they can to catch up until the NCAA perhaps comes up with a mandate that covers everybody. But they don't seem to be interested in doing that. They seem to be more interested in letting the politicians work this thing out and come up with a national law to bail them out of the mess that they created themselves. Look, I'm not going to sit here and defend the NCAA whatsoever for all these decades of stupidity with their rule book. Okay, we can all cite things that they have come down on schools for that are just plain, outrageously dumb. And so their chickens are coming home to roost, so to speak. Now, they're paying the price for that sort of flaunting of their power over the athletes, and the athletes are, through their own way, sort of rebelling. It's taken a long time, but through their own way, they're sort of rebelling. And in today's world, their message is carrying the day over the NCAA's message. Even the NCAA now, as an organization, is trying to come around, and they're trying to put the toothpaste back in the bottle, so to speak, or back in the tube. Anybody use a bottle with toothpaste? No. Trying to put the toothpaste back in the tube and save face here as best they can. But I think it's too late for that now. What they can do, of course, is get on board with the way things are moving at this particular time, the direction it's moving, and try and come up with some sort of legislation that will appease the athletes and fit what they're looking for, but also keep the organization in some sort of position of oversight and control of college athletics. Unless you just want the government to take over college athletics, which is, you might be heading to that, because the government will step in and say, you know what, we're declaring you, whatever, antitrust, whatever, we're disbanding you, and we'll create a committee, the United States bipartisan committee on college athletics, and we'll run college athletics. Don't think somebody up there isn't thinking about it.
Well, this is also the NFL's biggest fear, too, because they don't have to worry about having a minor league like Major League Baseball does. If the NCAA can't handle college football, the NFL may have to step in and say, look, don't ruin this product. We will take it over as a minor league sport. And we may feel 20, 30 years down the road. Look at Sean Alston. I believe it's Sean. It may be Shawnee, Shawne Alston, who is the former West Virginia football player, actually brought this lawsuit, I guess, against the NCAA to district court. And that's where the NCAA should have settled this. When it got to the Supreme Court level, they were basically rolling the dice and gambling huge here. And they made a critically bad decision on this and should have never let it get this far. And when you allow the Supreme Court to come out and have Judge Kavanaugh basically say, look, you guys are not above the law, you have no antitrust protection anymore, they're going to break up what we currently know as amateur athletics. This is a huge, huge, huge ruling. I don't know what weight it has, but it certainly sends out a message to the NCAA that the NIL and everything else we've been talking about here the last 6-8 months may not even be enough. We may get to a point now where the colleges are going to have to actually physically write checks to players. And I just don't know where we go from here.
So it's been no secret the past few months that I'm on the opposite side of the aisle from y'all. Totally fine. I do not want to put any words in your mouth, in particular you, Chris. Just want to make sure I'm understanding you right. You're saying you think this will lead to the end or the death of amateurism, correct?
I do.
Okay. Quick question with that. If, to both of y'all's admission in the last few minutes with what y'all were saying, you both have admitted that or said that these schools have already been paying these athletes in the form of a scholarship, correct?
Correct.
Well, with that being said, how amateurism is a myth then, is it not?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then
I've said that before. I've said, they're professionals, whether you want to call them that or not. And I've said the NCAA needs to quit hiding behind the word student athlete and amateurs, because by definition, if you give somebody something because of their skills, that person is a pro, whether it's, cold hard cash, or you give them a car, or you give them a college education, they're getting something because of their skills. Thus they're professional.
Correct.
That's the definition of the word.
Right. So they are receiving a payment for services rendered to their respective college or university, correct? For
Correct.
playing that sport.
That's correct.
So with that being said, I think one of the main parts in this ruling that will come out to play, aside from the NIL, is the fact that there has been a limit, a cap on what those services render, or excuse me, what those payments for services rendered have been up to this point for those athletes. They have only been able to get, not only, because you're right, it is a substantial amount of money. We all know lots of people that are still paying off student loans decades after graduating college. It is an issue. These athletes will not ever have that issue. Mm-hmm. But there is a cap to what they earn. In particular, such players as Trevor Lawrence, And I know I keep using that as an example, but right now, the last couple of years, he's been the biggest face of college football. He obviously brought in a lot of money for Clemson. They had additional, and they're already really good, but the amount of money he was able to bring in, I'm not saying he should directly get a check from the university, but the fact that there has been a cap on his earning potential, whereas any other profession in this country, that would be clearly illegal. And that is what I think Kavanaugh was focusing on with his remarks today, were that they are already employees of the school, whether we want to acknowledge that or not. But to this point, it has been dictated on their behalf what their earning potential is, whereas any other profession, does not matter your age, there is no limit. There is no cap. You can earn whatever the market dictates you can potentially earn for your value. And that's
I'm a little bit confused. I'm a little bit confused
please.
about the cap thing because, I mean, even professional teams have caps. They have salary
cap,
caps.
sure.
That limits what they can pay the players.
But they can still get endorsements aside from their contract, which has nothing to do with the salary cap. And that's where this now creates a clear separation.
Yeah, you're going to have now the ability for the athletes to do the endorsement thing and get whatever
Correct.
they can get on their own.
Which to now would have voided their ability to play collegiate sports.
And that's what this whole thing's about.
Sure.
That's what this whole thing boiled down to. You know, as far as getting to where you're paying the athletes, you know, once a week, twice a week, or monthly, you know, based on, okay, you know, you're going to get $50 an hour, you're going to get $25 an hour. I mean, we're going to get to that point. Is that, again, are they going to make us complete free agents and schools can put together, just like employees? You know, if IBM is going up against Dell Technologies for this, you know, this great computer mind, this person with a great computer mind, and they give you this package, IBM does, and then Dell comes back with another package. Well, maybe the schools are going to be able to go out there and go to a quarterback and say, okay, look, you know, we'll give you a full ride, 4 years, and we're going to pay you, you know, $2,500 a game, and we'll take your parents and we'll put them up in the nice, whatever package, and we're going to insure you. I mean, it can become very creative and also very expensive when you think about it. Schools competing against each other in the open market for the talents that's out there is going to be bloodthirsty. It's always been bloodthirsty through recruiting. I will say this about the NCAA rules. I mean, the whole idea of the cockamamie rules that they do have, okay, and there's a lot of absurd rules that they do have. But the idea was to try to even the playing field in recruiting, you know, so that the richest schools couldn't always buy the best talent under the table, cheat and get them. And we know that still happens, or has happened, and still happens. We know it's still going on, and will continue to go on. People are always going to get around the rules. But the idea behind all the big NCAA rule book was try to make recruiting as fair as possible across the board, Chris. And
it's nearly impossible.
It is impossible. And of course, they tried to legislate fairness and morality when it comes to recruiting. And those two words don't fit in the same sentence with the word recruiting, because we know how dirty it can be. But if you open this thing up wide open in a, quote, open market situation, then how costly is it going to become for the colleges? How can they stay in business with a formula like that, with no restrictions?
They can't. They physically cannot unless you're a Power 5 SEC, ACC, Big 12 football program. You'll be fine, even cutting a check to virtually all 85 people who are on scholarship. The problem is going to be, what are you going to do with your basketball teams, your women's basketball team in particular, and then everything else after that? Your football and men's basketball may survive at the major level. But how in the world is Presbyterian College, let's take PC for instance, how in the world are they going to stay in business if you get into a situation where they're not offering scholarships? So they've got to find a way to pay their football players. Well, we don't have enough money to actually give them scholarships, so we've got to cut a check out of their tuition. Well, the reason we cut scholarships is to get that tuition money. It's a never-ending saga. But I think what we're going to ultimately end up seeing, Phil, you remember, we all know that in Kurt Flood, who blew open the free agency market in Major League Baseball, I think we're going to look back on this lawsuit and it getting up to the Supreme Court 20, 30 years down the road. and we're going to say this was the starting point of what we have in terms of athletics at the collegiate level, and it's not anything close to the model we're seeing today.
Yeah. And the model we're seeing today is just being, blown up. Some people think it's a good idea. It might be a dangerous idea too. All right, we'll be back at the top of the hour break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The White House has announced the U.S. is going to send 55 million additional COVID-19 vaccine doses for other countries. Here's correspondent Bernie Bennett.
The Biden administration had already committed these doses as part of a pledge to allocate 80 million by the end of June, and an initial 25 million doses announced earlier this month have begun shipping. The White House had previously said it would send 80 million doses by the end of June, but it said it would allocate but not necessarily have the shipments on their way by that time. Asked about the delay, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said logistical hurdles, not the supply of doses, is at issue. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Claudette has returned to tropical storm strength as it nears the coast of the Carolinas. In an interview for Where TV, East Bruton Police Chief Kenneth Brazil said his Alabama community was using every resource to try and recover after the storm destroyed about 60 homes on Saturday.
Neighbors were going to help neighbors pick up debris. Chainsaws was coming out. Even when we were suspecting more sales coming, they were still out there.
The system had regained maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour as of this morning. Officials say a tornado swept through communities in heavily populated suburban Chicago last night. At a news conference, Lyle Woodridge Fire Chief Keith Preston told ABC 7 Chicago there were several small fires and all kinds of damage.
Most of the calls were for down power lines, gas leaks in the homes, and large tree branches on homes. Currently, we're looking at over 100 structures that have been damaged significantly by this incident.
The same storm system moved into Indiana. Elsewhere in the Midwest, a tornado caused some damage in eastern Iowa. Rain drenched parts of the state of Michigan and strong winds whipped through Missouri. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
With a Democratic sweep officially in place, we are now at the mercy of tax and spend economics. Get ready for runaway national debt pushing the further devaluation of the dollar. So if you haven't invested in gold, now is the time to protect your savings. Birch Gold Group is the premier precious metals IRA company in America. With an A+ BBB rating and thousands of satisfied customers, Birch Gold can help you move an eligible IRA or 401k into an IRA backed by gold. Go to birchgold.com/radio for your free information kit. That's birchgold.com/radio.
The U.S. Supreme Court has unanimously affirmed a ruling that provides for an incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated. It also opens the door for future legal challenges. It could deal a much more significant blow to limitations put in place by the NCAA. In an AP interview, NCAA President Mark Emmert stressed that the ruling was narrowly tailored and did not address the issue of compensating student athletes for the use of their name, image, or likeness.
It repeatedly went out of its way to point out that the NCAA is free to articulate what are and what are not truly educational benefits, especially in ways that are consistent with our role and our desire to support student athletes.
Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote the court's opinion, which upheld a district court judge's decision that the NCAA was violating antitrust law by placing limits on the education-related benefits that schools can provide. More from townhall.com.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Showers after midnight as clouds roll back in. The low drops to just 74. Tomorrow, rain out. Look for heavy showers at times. Thunderstorms and gusty winds possible and a high of 89. For Wednesday and Thursday, cloudy and cooler with a high temp of 79 expected each day. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
You know, we're going to get to your phone calls, I promise. We've been talking a lot here, but, you know, we got going on this topic. And here's the thing. This thing today, it just moves me farther down the road that you're going to have to let kids coming out of high school just go be professionals in whatever sport they're good enough to be professionals in. The Congress needs to go after the professional leagues and not just the NCAA. Okay, you're making well, in this case, it's Supreme Court, but whether it's the Supreme Court or Congress, you know, they're hammering the NCAA, and believe me, I'm not defending the NCAA. They deserve every lick they get for all the stupidity that they've showed us over the years. But, you know, now it's time to approach these professional leagues and say, look, man, you know, if you got a kid coming out of high school and he wants to go to the NFL, then you got to consider him. Now, whether you want to draft him or not, that's up to you, but you can't prevent him. How can the NFL get away by saying you've got to be 21 to go play in their league or be considered for them? Major League Baseball doesn't do that. They take you coming out of high school. NBA doesn't do that. And so now they have to look at it as what it is. The NFL has used college football for its entirety as a farm system, always saying that these players aren't physically and mentally ready. Well, you know what? Tough toodles. It's time for the NFL to take on their own and develop them themselves and let them be pros coming out of high school. They can have tryouts. They can do the draft. They can sign them. They can pay for them. They can feed them. They can educate them, whatever they want to do, just like professional baseball does, and take that off the backs of college. And then colleges can now go back. And it's time to, again, and I've said this many, many times, it always falls on deaf ears, but it's time for colleges to dial things back. You got to dial things back if you want this thing to survive in any type of model that you've had before. And that is, you've got to let these premier athletes go on and quit pretending to be students and let them go on and be pros. And then the others who come to college, I don't understand. I don't see why, you know, colleges, just like the professional teams, when they sign a player to a contract, that player is bound to that team, right? Then why can't colleges, when you sign a letter of intent, you're committed to that school for at least 3 years. And, you know, now, of course, you've gotten the freedom to transfer, but you're still in the college system. But you're bound to the college system for 3 years. And if you become good enough and the pros want to take a look at you after 3 years of development and all that, so be it. But at the same time, you should be getting your college education and moving on. The sports will still be good. Competition will still be good. Fans will still have a chance to go and support their favorite teams, tailgate, you know, get drunk as a skunk, yell at the officials, throw up on the guy sitting next to you. Everything you do now when you're rooting for Trevor Lawrence and you know, I'm trying to think. Give me a Gamecock. Kevin Harris. Yeah. Well, Kevin Harris, you know, still do all the obnoxious things you do at the ball games now, but you just won't have the best players coming out of high school coming to college. They'll go directly to the pros. So,
I wish I lived in your world, Phil. It is such a utopia and unfortunately no longer exists. First off, the NFL is never going to do that until they're forced to do. And who is going to take that big elephant in a room on at the Supreme Court level or any court? Because they're basically violating antitrust laws because they've got a monopoly. They're the only league that produces professional football, and no one can challenge them. And they've got a farm system set up to their liking where they don't have to pay these kids a dime until they come out of college and in their minds are ready to play at their level. They dictate the entire world of football. Everything is geared from high school to college on into the pros to play in the NFL. It is the most perfect scenario for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that changes is if someone has the money, and we're talking billions of dollars, to go challenge the NFL, and no one has the wherewithal nor the cash flow to be able to do so.
All right, let's get
Certainly
to phone
not
calls.
the colleges.
Phone calls, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Appreciate those of you hanging on. We go to Rob.
So we're actually going to go first to Hank in Columbia.
Hank in Columbia. Okay, I got so many lists here, I can't find the right one. There it is. Hank in Columbia. Hank, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Corn. And,
We gave you a lot of time to sit there and think.
I want to call in. First, I wanted to congratulate Don Staley on those winning the gold over the weekend, and the 4 athletes that are on our basketball team that played for the 3 different countries that were all in the semifinals and number of medalists. So wanted to congratulate them, and also Asia Wilson on making the Olympic team. But I did want to comment on this topic that y'all were talking about. That you came around for a minute there, I thought you were going to get on your dine on the vine portion, but at the end, you at least admitted that the NCAA did this to themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did it. They did it to themselves because they, the guy did state, as the money continued to grow and grow and grow and grow, instead of just taking it upon themselves to create something like if an athlete stayed 4 years and graduated a post stipend or whatever, they just kept on saying, well, we're the NCAA and they're student athletes, which everybody has known that hadn't been the case in a long while. I mean, if you go back to the early days in the 80s, Corn, you remember when the teams first came on TV, how many athletes would get up there and their major was general studies?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you didn't make the pros, a lot of those athletes weren't coming out of college with the major that was going to be worth what they were bringing to the school.
Correct. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, look, we all agree it was a warp deal. It was a warp deal through the 60s and 70s and 80s. And I guess, what was it, in the 90s, we started to become a little more enlightened about things and a little more sensitive to how these things were going on?
Yeah, you started listening to athletes who would say something like, I wanted to major in this, and they said, oh, no, that conflicts with our practice schedule, so they steered me to this.
Yeah, but what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? I was talking to a coach today. What's going to happen now when star player, has got a endorsement deal, and his endorsement deal is with the local BMW dealership, and they've got an ad agency from, let's just say, Atlanta has come in to do a commercial on a Tuesday afternoon at 3:00. And they contact him and say, hey, Joey Bighead, we need you over here to sit in our car and say what a great dealership we are. And we're paying you $10,000 now, $10,000 a month here to do this. And we need you over here. And this is the only time they can do it. And Joey Bighead goes to his coach and says, Coach, I got to miss practice today. I got to get over here and shoot this video, shoot this commercial. Now, that might be an extreme example, but is it a possibility?
I don't think so. Come on, the thing is, those who be putting out these things for endorsements, they're also fans. So they're going to, everything that they set up, I get almost bet is going to be so that player continues to maximize their worth to their teams. They're not going to put them in a quandary like that. I doubt they ever will.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that you said that was kind of off, you said, the NCAA set up all these crazy rules. It was supposed to hopefully, limit and even out recruiting, right? The problem with that, Corn, was there were no rules for the donors and all to the facilities and everything. So when you look at the top recruiting schools, those are the top money schools still, because they got the the spaceship and the recording studio and the helicopter that lands on a football field. So that just doesn't apply.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hear you, and the schools have sort of and thanks for your phone call, Hank. I were just loaded up with stuff. Um, the schools are also guilty of going way over the top in this recruiting stuff too. You know that, and just throwing dollar upon dollar upon these athletes. And yeah, that's sort of the same thing. Spending that kind of money, sort of the same thing that folks who want to get the endorsement of these players will be throwing that same kind of money at them as well. So I don't know. I think that it would be smart for the colleges, if at all possible, if they can get this separation, if they can somehow get this separation from the top players who are deemed pros coming out of high school. And I guess, Chris, we're doing such a great job of developing these athletes at such an early age now. There is such early identification of players. They're going to camps at 6, 7, 8 years old. They're only playing one sport. There used to be the great athlete would play 3 sports, maybe 4 if they ran track. Now they're specifying a sport so early, and they are being developed at such an early age. Obviously, for baseball and basketball and all the other sports, it seems like they're able and ready to step out and play professionally. But the NFL, professional football, they're the ones that have thrown the roadblock into that. And as you pointed out, they've had that antitrust protection and all that to be able to do that, and they've leaned on the colleges. Well, and of course the colleges, it's a bloodbath out there for them trying to acquire the best players available, and they've done everything they can with these facilities and spending millions of dollars for the sole reason of trying to impress a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old that, we've got a recording studio at our facility, and we've got a barbershop at our facility. Well, we've got a putt-putt course at ours, or we've got a nap room, or we've got a stripper's pole to slide down. Whatever you want to say to try to impress a daggone teenager, a mush brain, and grown men throw themselves at these guys and their families, and they just woo them to just no end. But that's the game they have to play. I hate to say it, very respectable men and women, because more and more women are involved, very respectable people. When it comes to recruiting, it's like they go through a personality change. They become used car salesmen. Basically.
And it backfires on them when that athlete doesn't get as many minutes on the court or on the field, enough snaps or the whole 9 yards. And they say, you know what, I can go play here. And they jump into transfer portal after a year of you spending 2 or 3 years trying to recruit them to your school. Yeah, you're right. It's a never-ending cycle. But the colleges have brought it on themselves. As Hank pointed out, the NCAA certainly has made it a lot easier for them to screw this up. And the NFL has certainly given them the latitude to be able to say, you do whatever you need to do to develop those guys. And by the time they're juniors, they're physically ready to come to the NFL. How many times have we heard that? Kids aren't physically ready when they come out of high school to go directly into the NFL. Well, how do we know? How do we know that Trevor Lawrence or whomever wasn't ready coming straight out of high school to at least get an opportunity to play in the NFL? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Judging by what we see out of quarterbacks in particular, using that position, with them having to sit on the bench before they even begin to get ready to understand an NFL defense. But nonetheless, wouldn't you prefer to have them on the bench for a year or so? By the time they would be a junior in high school, a junior in college, they're ready to start for your team, as opposed to drafting them and you have to wait basically 6 years down the road from when you could have potentially brought them in. But the NFL's not going to do that until they're forced to do that. And I don't know that that's ever going to happen.
A quick recruiting note. We got recruiting coming up here. Got to squeeze it in. But South Carolina has gotten a basketball commitment from a young man who just announced it. Zachary Davis, 6'7", from Denmark Oler, committed to the Gamecocks. And he received an offer. Got a visit today. I guess was offered today. And he has committed to South Carolina. 6'7", Zachary Davis from Denmark Oler. That's in the 2022 class. Gamecocks' first commitment for 2022 comes from an in-stater from Denmark Oler, 6'7", Zachary Davis. More recruiting coming up in just a little bit. Let's stay on the phone calls real quick. We go to now I'm totally lost. Where are we going, Pat? Is it Bruce? No.
We're going to go to Bruce, but if I may, just real fast, because it's directly to what Chris was just saying. Look at the past two NFL MVPs, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. They both sat on the bench when they first came into the NFL. And it has now, yes, they were both very highly regarded out of college, sure. But so would Trevor Lawrence out of high school, to play into what you were saying. So maybe it's not that bad of a thing to sit behind. But also, to your point, the NFL has showed time and time again steadfast refusal to wanting any kind of farm system other than college football, just by the fact of their refusal to support the XFL and other quote-unquote minor leagues that have come about in recent years.
All right, to Bruce in Columbia, we go next. Bruce, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Thank you for taking my call tonight. And this is just a whole big old scam uncovering from the standpoint of the cheapskates of all of the collegiate level. They don't pay their employees anything, and the employees are working for their benefits on retirement. Now, getting back to the classroom and the athlete, scholarship athlete, how much do you think that seat in that room costs that university per person?
For the athlete? For the athlete?
Yeah, for the athlete. Sit in that chair to take that class because he's getting it's a fictitious
the average. Let me give you the number. You asked the question. So the average tuition for 4 years for in and out of state. That's the average. If you took what it costs for an out of state student, an in-state student, you average that over 4 years at South Carolina, it'd be $97,000 for tuition.
Okay. All right. Now, you're talking about per student, right?
Per athlete, yes. I'm talking about athletes.
Oh, per athlete.
Yeah, I'm just talking about if you're on – well, that would be per student. Yeah, that's per student because I'm not talking about anything other than the tuition. This is posted on USC's website, the amount that it would cost.
All right. Now, how much does it cost that student to sit in that chair for 6 months to take that course, and there's 50 kids in there at that price? They're making money hand over fist, plus they get benefits from the state, pays them money to carry on different things. And it's ridiculous what these universities take in. And they don't give nothing to nobody except a piece of paper and say, hey, you got a degree here. Good luck.
Isn't that supposed to be important?
Well, look at today's market. There ain't one. Where are they going to find a job?
Anywhere. Everybody's looking for. Well, I mean, everybody's looking for workers right now. You can get a job.
Well, okay. Well, maybe that's the truth. Okay, but the normal market.
But I get what you're talking about. You're talking about somebody graduating. I mean, they're not expecting to go flip hamburgers somewhere or dig ditches and stuff like that. I mean, they're expecting to get a return on their investment. Yeah.
But yet they're charging them interest on their money they borrowed to go into college, so they're not making.
Well, see,
money.
But that's the point that I've always made about for the athletes. You're talking about the average student, the regular student. You're right. They're going to be paying that student loan off for decades.
Exactly. They won't get it paid off.
But the athletes, that's why I'm saying for people who say the athletes who have gotten nothing, they've gotten a lot. They leave college debt free with a chance to go get a job. If you're not good enough to play professional sports, and part of the problem here is we think everybody that signs a scholarship is going to end up playing professional sports. When we all know that's about what, 1% maybe? A very small number who actually play college sports go on to play professional sports and make a decent living at it.
Okay,
but you got that degree and the network for your school, especially if you're an in-state kid playing at the in-state school, the network there will find you a job and you won't have any school-related burden on your back in terms of owing money, unlike most of the other kids in that school.
But what I'm getting at, Phil, is the athlete was been given a carrot in front of their face. You're going to have your school paid for. You got to do this, you got to do that year round.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of work. Right. It's a lot of work.
You better believe it is.
Yeah.
And they got limitations. I mean, they control that person like they're slaves. It is a form of slavery.
No.
Not even
Oh yeah.
close.
Come on
Listen.
now, let's don't throw that word
No,
around like that. I mean, first of all,
I work
nobody
for a
makes
university.
you, unless your parents do.
No.
Nobody makes you go to college and play a sport. You do that on your own free will. You agree to sign the scholarship. You agree to live up to what that scholarship is all about. Nobody puts a
That's
gun to
right.
your head in most cases. I'm sure there's
And
some
you
kids
can't
who are
do
forced
you
into it, but
can't do normal
most are
things
not.
that a other person can do. You got limitations on your life. It's ridiculous how they control
I'll say
these
this:
people.
the NCAA has stepped in over the years and taken away a lot of that burden from the athletes. They've reduced the number of hours that you're forced to practice. They've made sure that you got some time of your own. They've done some things along those lines to make it more livable for the athlete. And they tried to work the athlete back into the main body of the student body instead of having them live off campus in these athlete only dorms. But that's coming back. They're getting around it. The schools are building these living quarters that are basically filled by almost all athletes. But you should also know too that athletes tend to hang out with who? Other athletes. They don't tend to mingle with the main student body unless they're going after the opposite sex or whatever. But by and large they stay with their own group, don't they? You see them on campus. I remember when I was a kid on campus, football players hung out with each other. They didn't hang out with the regular Joes out there, and I think that's still the case today. Just like members of the band hang out with other members of the band, members of the chemistry club hang out with members of the chemistry club. You tend to hang out with people of like interest, do you not? So, all right, thank you for that.
May I interject here?
Well, I
real
did want to
quick?
do recruiting, but go ahead. Real
I'm sorry
quick.
if you need to get to recruiting, but
Well, we
what
do.
Bruce said, the use of the term slavery in comparison
No,
to
no,
NCAA athletes
Totally
is
out of
so
bounds.
overblown, and it's nowhere close to accurate. And I can give you a litany of things that the athletes get that don't go into a scholarship themselves, just the hidden costs. We could sit here for another 20 minutes and I could run through the amount of things that a student athlete gets that the normal student at any university could never, ever get, that are experiences that those kids will remember for a lifetime that they don't pay a dime for. So I agree with you on that point, Phil. They get a lot in return for being an athlete at XYZ University.
I want to be fair. I want to be fair to the athletes, okay? I'm being open-minded about it personally, and I want to be fair, and I want them, okay, if in our world today, if that's what people want and people are in favor of it, then by all means. But let's please don't overstate the life of an athlete as being a slave or having not received anything, because again, the argument, to me, it doesn't hold water. To say a scholarship doesn't mean anything and they've got nothing, to me, that's a very weak, lazy argument. And just to dismiss the value, be a parent and put one or two or more kids through college and not be able to pay for it straight up and have to go and get various federal and private loans and deal with that for the next 30 or 40 years of your life and dump that on your kids. I mean, most parents don't pay. I say most, I don't know how many, but dump that on your kid. Here's your degree. Congratulations. And by the way, here's where you send your monthly $275 check to pay for your $40,000 bill. I mean, give me a freaking break. It means something. It's important. And people who just dismiss that don't have a clue.
Not to mention,
Want to remind you to get by there for their daily luncheon buffet. They have been great at the food business for over 70 years, whether it's their daily luncheon buffet or they're doing a special event for you, hosting your event or coming to your location for their event at hosting at 1125 Rosewood Drive. They are the best in the business. Their phone number, 803-771-7385. And again, the luncheon buffet every day, 11 till 2. And you'll find that to be quite economical and quite good. All right, going to hit a break. We'll come back and got a lot to do. Going to give you recruiting. And MJ Ward's going to check in with us as well. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
And here's tonight's forecast. Showers after midnight as clouds roll back in. The low drops to just 74. Tomorrow, rain out. Look for heavy showers at times. Thunderstorms and gusty winds possible and a high of 89. For Wednesday and Thursday, cloudy and cooler with a high temp of 79 expected each day. I'm Brian Leonard with your On Point local weather.
When I served in Iraq and Afghanistan, my buddies and I would do anything for each other. That's important whether you're in a firefight or fighting to regain your life. When I came home injured, there are people I can count on, like DAV.
DAV, Disabled American Veterans, stands behind America's veterans to make their transition back home easier with free services and help getting the benefits they've earned. Help us fulfill the promise to our men and women who served. Go to DAV.org to learn more.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Claudette has returned to tropical storm status as it nears the coast of the Carolinas and in East Bruton. That is on the coast yesterday in Alabama. The community there said they used every resource to recover after that same storm destroyed about 60 homes with its strong winds. As of today, the system had regained maximum sustained winds of about 40 miles an hour, making it a tropical storm once again. Officials say a tornado swept through communities in heavily populated suburban Chicago. The storm last night damaged more than 100 homes, toppled trees, knocked out power, and caused multiple injuries there. Rain-drenched parts of Michigan as part of that same system. Strong winds went through Missouri, and a tornado caused some damage in eastern Iowa. It was a good day for investors today on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 586 points. This is SRN News.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Oh man, storm's coming. I need to be prepared. Where's my phone? Oh, there it is. All right, here's the Dominion Energy app with Face ID, and I am ready to go. That's right, folks. If those South Carolina storms hit, the new Dominion Energy mobile app is a must-have. So easy to use and convenient to have around. It's not just for power outages. With this app, you have instant access to all of your energy usage, too. Pretty cool stuff. Take it from me. Be prepared this season and download it today. You ever notice there's a lot of foundation repair companies in the Midlands? Well, I asked my guys at TerraTech about this. Seems like 80% of the homes end up with foundation issues in the Midlands. It's just the soil around here. So how do you pick the right foundation company if you think you're having an issue? I always start by thinking local. I mean, think local always. Your home is your biggest financial investment. You want someone who's been here a while and isn't going anywhere for a while, and that's TerraTech. They're family-owned, they're AAA approved by the Better Business Bureau, and they are 100% local. They use the highest quality products, and they stand behind their work. And I'm not into scare tactics, no way. But goodness, this is your home. I mean, it's your castle. Walk around it. Take a look. If you see cracks in the foundation, just call TerraTech. They'll come out for free. No cost, no obligation. They'll tell you honestly if you have a problem or not. You can trust TerraTech to repair your home. You know I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Online, it's TerraTechInc.com or call them 791-8888. That's 791-8888 or online at TerraTechInc.com.
We've all come a long way together over the last year. Now we need everybody across Columbia to get vaccinated and put COVID behind us once and for all. COVID vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Everyone in the Benjamin family has gotten their vaccinations, even our youngest. Just like our family has done, and like so many others across the Midlands, it's important to protect yourself, your loved ones, and your community. We're almost there. It's your shot, Columbia.
There's never an HVAC expert around when you need one. Enter the field in less than 6 months with the Midlands Tech entry-level HVAC Tech program. Evening classes just twice a week for a seriously in-demand field in famously hot Columbia. Practical, hands-on labs with instructors who work in the industry. Focus on diagnosing and troubleshooting HVAC issues. Scholarships are available. Learn more at midlandstech.edu or call 732-0432. Tell them you heard it on The Point and get 10% off the cost of the program.
All right, let's get to the recruiting, and then MJ Ward's going to join us. We're going to recap the Open quickly, and then we'll get back to phone calls. And Alan Smothers, we're going to bump him till tomorrow. Let him enjoy his Wolfpack as they're underway in their game. I guess they're underway in their game against Vanderbilt. So in recruiting,
nothing. Excuse me, nothing. Bottom of the second.
Okay, let me give you the recruiting very quickly. I'm going to go as quickly as I can, but we got a lot to get over here. So 3-star safety Peyton Williams, 6 feet 180 of Rockwall, Texas, committed to USC this morning. He was in over the weekend, ranked number 65 nationally by 24/7 Sports, and had a very good visit and sat down with Shane Beamer and also Torian Gray, and just had a real good feel for things at South Carolina. They like the way he plays the game. Took an official visit to Maryland this month. Also had Michigan State, Colorado, Florida State, Michigan, New Mexico, Akron, North Texas offers. He'll return to USC in the fall. Official visit for the Vanderbilt game. So he becomes commitment number 7. Number 6 was defensive end Jamal Weiss, 6'4", 255 of Miami, who announced on Sunday. Of course, we had gotten the tweet from Shane Beamer the previous weekend, his welcome home commitment alert, and that was for Weiss, but Weiss waited until Father's Day to announce. And he also had offers reportedly from Alabama, Indiana, Pitt, Kentucky, Miami, Ole Miss, Syracuse, Marshall, Florida, ranked 103rd among defensive linemen, number 96 prospect in Florida. Lived in Ohio before moving to Florida last August, had 39 tackles, 9.5 sacks in 4 games. USC is interested in running back Anthony Hankerson, 5'9", 190 of Fort Lauderdale, out of St. Thomas Aquinas. Helped lead them to a state championship, 1,178 yards and 14 touchdowns. Broward County Offensive Player of the Year in 8A through 6A. Made an unofficial USC last Friday, and he met up with Montario Hardesty, the running backs coach, and they told him, hey, we're looking at a couple of guys. There's another guy that we like a lot. That's probably Jalen Glover. But they're keeping an eye on Hankerson as well, and might take 2 running backs, though right now Hardesty's telling him probably just take 1. But if they take 2 or they don't get the other, they may be back on Hankerson. And he went to UCF over the weekend. He might visit USF this weekend. Also hearing a lot from West Virginia. He also has Florida, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, Memphis, Arizona, Western Kentucky offers. He's a 3-star rated player, number 35 nationally. 2023 receiver Devin Hyatt, the speedster from Dutch Fork, one of the top receivers in the country in his class. 4-star, number 17 receiver nationally, coming off a year of helping his team win a state championship. Of course, his brother, Jalen, a true freshman at Tennessee. And the younger Hyatt and his parents were at USC on Saturday watching camp. They were with Shane Beamer. They were with Justin Stepp. His father, Jamie Hyatt, shared with us afterwards some of what went on. And basically just they loved the staff. They loved the staff. Shane Beamer was right there to greet him when they pulled into the parking lot. They are recruiting him very, very hard. They're very impressed with Justin Stepp. They've known Justin Stepp a long time. They really like him. And he said, you know, people who've already got his son, the younger one, penciled in for Tennessee are saying, he says, no, wait a second. I mean, yeah, they love Tennessee because one son is there, but wherever Devin goes, they're going to love that school. And he's looking at to do his own thing, not necessarily, being locked into Tennessee. So don't put that down just yet. They've also been to Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. All have offered. They wanted to get to Clemson and Auburn this month, but weren't able to work them in. He also has offers from Florida State, Oregon, Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, and West Virginia. Former USC commitment safety Anthony Rose of Miami is returning to USC for an official visit this weekend. He was also in earlier this month on June 6th for an unofficial visit. He had committed to USC February 23rd. He decommitted May 12th, but they've never lost contact with him. He continued to talk to Torian Gray. Now he feels really good about South Carolina. He's looking forward to another chance to check out everything. He's also been to Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and Georgia Tech. But he said from his earlier visit at USC, he called USC the best facilities he's seen. He said really the only one maybe a little better was Alabama, but he said South Carolina has a great facility, and they continue to recruit him hard and tell him how much they want him in the program. He does not have any other visits planned after the one to USC. Sumter defensive end Davin Jackson took an official to Syracuse over the weekend, said it went really good. And he is taking an official to Coastal this weekend. He camped at USC June 3rd, and he's returning for a cookout. The Gamecocks are going to have their own cookout July 31st. And so he remains heavily involved with South Carolina. Defensive end Robbie Harrison of Emerald camped at Georgia last week. He got an offer from the Bulldogs. Said he really couldn't say words when they gave him the offer. He went to Georgia Tech today. He's also camped at Clemson, but he hasn't heard from the Tigers. And he camped at USC, and they said they're going to follow him through his season. He wants to make a decision in August. Receiver Kyleek Horton of Clarendon Hall camped at Coastal Carolina Friday. Also went on a tour of the school. He is going to go to Wake Forest this Friday. He's also been to USC and Virginia Tech, and he went to USC for an unofficial visit. Of course, they offered him after seeing him in camp, and he continues to favor South Carolina right now. USC, Virginia Tech, and Coastal would be his top three. Four-star athlete Chris Graves of Fort Myers, Florida, confirmed last night he'll take his official to USC this weekend. He's also been to Miami and LSU, and an unofficial to Florida. He's going to announce on July 9th from those four schools, Miami, LSU, Florida, USC. One-time USC commitment wide receiver Daquan Stewart of Lewisburg College in North Carolina camped at USC earlier this month, hoping to generate a new offer from the Gamecocks. They're going to see him again this Saturday. Charlotte is having a mega camp in South Carolina. According to Stewart, has told him they'll be there, and they plan to see him and watch him in this camp. And he has the option of coming out and signing with somebody now and enrolling in school, or going back to Lewisburg for another season and signing in December. He's hoping the Gamecocks will offer after seeing him this weekend. He said he did very well in their camp. No drops, no problems. Eastern Michigan and Akron, his two offers. Kansas transfer, cornerback Karan Prunty, freshman All-American with the Jayhawks, plans to make the call on his next school this week between USC and Tennessee. He's been to both. Tennessee over the weekend. He told 24/7 Sports Sunday after his visit to Tennessee, they're no favorite, and he's still working on his decision. Defensive end Ebenezer Bedada, 6'4", 238 from Alberta, Canada, was at USC Saturday at the camp. 2023 quarterback Dylan Burke of Round Rock, Texas, was at USC over the weekend. And USC target offensive tackle Ryan Brubaker, Stevens, Pennsylvania, was at Tennessee over the weekend. He's also been to USC, Penn State, and Stanford. He goes to Vanderbilt this weekend. Then he decides. USC target receiver C.J. Smith of Orlando committed to Florida on his visit over the weekend. Dutch Fork receiver Antonio Williams was at Ole Miss over the weekend. He's a USC offer, and Clemson also has interest. Clemson 2023 quarterback target Arch Manning was at Alabama over the weekend. Clemson offered four-star 2023 wide receiver Nathaniel Joseph of Miami. Some of the other official visits scheduled for USC this weekend: tight end Oscar Delp, defensive end Tomiwa Durajai, cornerback Traquan Fagans, defensive tackle Nick James, defensive tackle Jamari Lyons, cornerback Nikkei Martinez, cornerback Keenan Nelson, and committed quarterback Braden Davis. Of course, that's all subject to change. Over the weekend, Hammond running back C.J. Stokes announced a commitment to Michigan while on a visit up there. And he even put out a tweet saying, no bad feelings towards South Carolina or their staff. He said, but even if my offer was committable, and it was before, he wrote, I wouldn't have gone. I'm trying to leave home and build my own legacy. Greenville quarterback Pro Franklin. He worked out for the Gamecocks on Saturday, and he thought he did very well. So they loved everything about his character and how he carried himself. And he says nothing official yet, but he kind of left South Carolina thinking he might get an offer from the Gamecocks. He has offers from Marshall, Charlotte, Lenoir-Rhyne, and Eastern Michigan. 2024 quarterback Kamari McClellan of Oxford, Alabama, was offered by USC Saturday. USC offered 2024 free safety receiver Caden Jones of Asheville and 2024 receiver Josiah Trader of Opelika, Florida, and 2024 receiver Jeremiah Smith of Opelika. USC running back target Jalen Glover of Lakeland, Florida, took his official visit to Georgia Tech over the weekend. One-time USC target running back Michael Allen of Greenville, North Carolina, committed to NC State. 2023 defensive tackle Keith Sampson of New Bern, North Carolina, was at USC Friday. He also camped on Saturday. He's a major target. 2023 defensive end Monte Rames of Sumter was at USC Friday. USC target cornerback Nick Cole, Donaldsonville, Georgia, was at Miami over the weekend. And Clemson target defensive end Cyrus Moss was at Notre Dame. Another Clemson target defensive end DJ Wesolak was at Florida. Defensive end Kasim Valls of Palmetto Prep, formerly of Irmo, committed to Alabama A&M. 2024 quarterback Jaden Bradford of Chapin was offered by Vanderbilt. 2023 four-star linebacker Grayson Howard of Jacksonville was at USC Saturday. Linebacker Xavier Simmons of Greensboro, North Carolina, who had a USC offer, committed to Virginia Tech. Clemson target athlete Jaron Kanak was at Alabama over the weekend. Clemson target receiver Andre Green was at Oklahoma over the weekend. Basketball, we mentioned 6'7" Zachary Davis of Denmark Oler committed to USC tonight. 16.7 assists and 5 rebounds per game last season. Lou Bezjak of the State reported 6'8" G.G. Jackson of Ridgeview went to Duke and NC State today. USC tomorrow. North Carolina later in the week. 6'9" Noah Clowney of Dorman was offered by Florida. 2024 6'5" Cam Scott of Lexington was offered by Wake Forest. In baseball, 2023 infielder Brent Gibbs of Spring Valley committed to Clemson. There you go with the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk. We'll hit this break. When we come back, we'll be joined by MJ Ward, get his last thoughts on the fantastic U.S. Open that we saw yesterday. And we'll squeeze in some more phone calls here before we sign off tonight as well. We'll be back. More Sports Talk coming up.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Player practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut of Sports Talk here with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. What words of wisdom do you have for those hitting the water this summer?
Phil, collisions can be prevented easily if every vessel operator fulfills 3 major responsibilities. 1, practice good seamanship. It's the responsibility of every boat or PWC operator to take all necessary action to avoid a collision. 2, keep a proper lookout. Failing to keep a sharp lookout is the most common cause of boating collisions. And finally, maintain a safe speed. Remember, boat safe, boat smart.
You're listening to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. We're back in a moment.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College specializes in sophisticated manufacturing services and workforce development training. The SIMT offers rapid prototyping, additive manufacturing, advanced machining, and business incubation services to clients from across the state and nation, plus social media listening services and rentals of conferencing and training spaces. The SIMT also houses an 800-seat auditorium, a conference center that can seat more than 1,200 for dinner or a luncheon, and numerous classroom spaces with state-of-the-art presentation technologies. Visit our website at simt.com or call 866-304-7468 for more information. The SIMT, technology to grow your business.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in South Carolina.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
I also want to mention that 6'8" Brandon Gardner from Gray Collegiate taking an unofficial visit to Georgetown today. Want to make sure I got that in there. All right, we exhale from recruiting only to inhale the sweet aroma of a fantastic finish to the U.S. Open yesterday. What a tournament it turned out to be. MJ Ward back on the East Coast after taking the red eye from San Diego last night back in Jersey. And he's going to join us here to give us his final thoughts. But what a day that was, MJ. It's kind of neat to watch these guys battle everything, each other, and the course and the elements, and a very pleasant win for John Rahm.
Yeah, it was. First off, your imitation of New Jersey needs to have you need to work on that. Okay, so don't lose the day job.
Okay.
I will say that. But now getting back to business at hand, I think the most important thing that came out of the tournament yesterday was the best player in the world not only won the event, but is now number one ranked worldwide in John Rahm. And the golf course that he won it on was a true validation of the skills that he needed to bring to the table in order to do that. And it sorted out all of the pretenders that were in a position to win, but could not get it done at the times that they needed to get it done. So it is a tremendous achievement. He is the first Spaniard to win the U.S. Open, and in his post-round comments, which I thought were really tremendously inclusive of a lot of different key things. I mean, including the COVID situation that he went through at the Memorial 2 weeks ago, to his recognition of the late great Seve Ballesteros, who was never able to win the U.S. Open, although he did win 5 major championships. John Rahm has come a very long way in a short time frame. Tremendously talented, but he had issues dealing with temper, dealing with sometimes getting derailed at the wrong time. But he proved his point yesterday. And when you birdie the last 2 holes to win a U.S. Open, I mean, I can think of when Tom Watson did that when he won the 82 U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, and Jack Nicklaus when he won the 1980 U.S. Open at Baltusrol. That is an emphatic way to seal the deal. It's not Tiger Woods, that a memory of the 08 will always be there. But I will tell you, it's really not a bad second situation at all, the way it was won yesterday. I think the only real downer was, I think everybody wanted to see Louis Oosthuizen have an opportunity to tie at least when he got to the 18th hole. And that could not happen because of an inexplicable blunder by him and hitting it into the penalty area at number 17. But the bottom line of it is John Rahm came from off the pace, 3 shots. He did make a bogey on the back 9 when it counted. And, to have the validation to be done at a golf course where he won his first PGA tournament back in 2017. He celebrated his first Father's Day. Everybody saw his young son with him and his wife and his family being there. It really was truly a special event, and it's the kind of event that the USGA really needs to have to validate that it has a real clear sense of how a U.S. Open is to be really brought forward. You can't script out the theater. That has to come from the players. But the reality is all of the uniquenesses of a U.S. Open, you saw that as the players were entering the back 9, and then the pressure meter started to go up dramatically for just about everybody out there. And the 2 people who held it together the best, they were the ones who basically pushed it right to the very end until Rahm was able to make 2 outstanding putts on 17 and 18.
Well, it was fantastic television viewing and great drama. And we really appreciate your coverage. Are you going across the pond to the British Open?
Well, right now, the situation with the Open Championship, it really depends on the quarantine situation. I mean, right now there is going to be a quarantine status that people have to have before you can go in to cover the championship.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to be played at Royal St. George's, which is not far from London. So I would anticipate that there may be some fluidity here in terms of how they handle media and fans. I think that's still to be played out yet. We still almost have a little bit less than a month, so there's some fluidity in terms of how that will be handled. But it will be the last major championship of the year, and it's really been an unbelievable run when you think about it, going back to April when the Masters started, and then you work your way through, with the PGA at Kiowa, and then obviously the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, and now, of course, the Open Championship will come up. So it's really been a great golf season. And there's a lot of different other events coming up, including, particularly in late September, the Ryder Cup matches will be played at Whistling Straits in Wisconsin.
Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. And we'll be hearing from you, and we'll have you back on Sports Talk when you hit one of these major events. Let us know.
Hey, always a pleasure with all you folks. And as I say, as a partisan, go Gamecocks.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.
MJ Ward covered the U.S. Open for us. Wish we could have done more with him tonight. Just backed up, slammed up. Everybody's mad we're not getting them on the air. I'm sorry. There's only so much time. I said this being the Solstice edition of Sports Talk, we could go extra 2 hours. Speaking of jinx, if you got Rob, is he? We'll put him on. I told Kyrie Irving, I said, you stomp on the leprechaun, you're going to pay for it. Dadgummit, they did. I'm so happy. I mean, I hate that he got hurt. Okay, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But he stepped on the leprechaun. He stomped on the leprechaun. He embarrassed himself really, by doing that. And they got him. Leprechaun came back and got him. He got hurt. Nets got beat. He's on vacation. He only played one extra round than the Celtics did. So he didn't do anything special. NC State and Vanderbilt, and right now, Jack Leiter has a no-hitter going through 3 innings. I'm sorry. Yeah, had a perfect game going through 3 innings. And the other guy for NC State's not doing bad either. That is Sam Highfield. He's given up 1 hit. So the pitching is dominating in a scoreless game in the 4th inning. And let's go to Rob in Charleston. We got Rob's been trying to get through. I'm so sorry. We've just been really filled up with a lot of stuff. We got about 90 seconds. Rob, go ahead.
Hey, Corn, I don't blame you, man. There's been it's an interesting topic.
Yes,
sir. One thing that I will say to you to keep in mind is if these athletes want to be paid like employees, then they should expect to pay taxes on their scholarships. Because that's one thing that I think if that was the case, if you had to pay taxes on the scholarship money, I think you would find that 90% of the team would be left holding the bag and 10% of the team who actually commands dollars because fans care about the name on the front of the jersey way more than they care about the name on the back of the jersey. I think that those chickens will really come home to roost. But I agree with most of everything that you said. It's the NFL's problem because it's the NFL's rule. But to see The NCAA, they've inserted themselves into a void where they're making a lot of money off of this, quote unquote black market that is college athletics. But at the end of the day, if you really want to get technical, players that sign with the the number one recruiting class, people don't care who they are until they put on that jersey. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, they don't care who the top players are playing at other schools unless they're diehard football fans.
Rob, hate to do this, man. We'll make much more time tomorrow night. So give us a call. We'll pick back up on this. Thank you, Chris. And thank you, Pat. And thank you, everybody. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
Someone will be right with you.
The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.